Are live. I hope that you all are having a wonderful Wednesday afternoon, evening, or whatever time of day it happens to be where you are. And tonight's discussion is one that I've kind of had before, but it's something I feel like needs to be a renewed topic. And the topic today has to do with expectations versus reality. And to set the stage a little bit, we all have seen these leaks and rumors, and there's events coming up, and people pitch this kind of expectation, and people get that in mind. And so, what does that cause versus the reality? And this is what I wanted to discuss as a consumer and as somebody who reviews products. And not only from that, but like the perspective of when a company sends a email to me and they're pitching and they're saying, hey, we want you to review this product. There's an expectation set by them and an expectation set by me. And also what expectations viewers should have from those that they watch and from the companies in which consumers, you, me, everybody buys a product. I want to say good evening to Tech for Your Needs and Sharkfin Tech. Of course, if anybody coming in has any commentary, any thoughts on this, any questions, any things they'd like me to touch on, put those in the chat. This is an interactive type of thing. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to kind of interact some more, don't forget to check out my social media. You can follow me at Michael Pepper TT on Twitter. And of course, everywhere I am Michael Pepper Tech. So let's get into the conversation here. First off, I want to say one of the experiences I've had recently was a company, I don't know how they pronounce their name, if it's Zealot or Zealot, Zealot, sent me a couple speakers for review. And when they originally reached out to me, there was this whole expectation of, okay, you'll review it for us and post it on your review on social media. Whether it's posting stuff on Instagram or Twitter or a YouTube video. I'm sure that they send the same comments out to everybody and they get response. And so I always reply with, well, here's my expectations. My expectations are that you will give me minimum 2 weeks. So I don't want to hear anything back from you asking, hey, where's a video? Where's a review? Where's content for 2 weeks? 2 days later, I started getting email day after day after day after day. And originally I was going to do a video about these because they're good product. But my expectation was set, and by them sending not only one, but I said, can I have two so that I can show people the ability to use these in stereo and some of the cool things. And I opened these up and I'm like, wow, they feel good quality. They come with the cable that you need. I paired them. They paired up easily with each other. They paired quickly to my computer, and I started playing music and messing with them. And like, I wanted to recommend this. But then they started emailing me. And I, day after day after day. And so I started ignoring the emails. And then I get so I say, hey, send me. I get an email that basically says, oh, I scammed them. Or, oh, I misled them. And it's like, no, here was my standards. And you guys were emailing me every day. And I haven't heard anything back once I said, ship me, give me a label and I'll ship them back to you. I haven't heard anything after that. So I was trying to decide, do I make a video? What do I do? I don't want to make a video and then be like, but I can't recommend it because the way that they treated me. I don't want people to not get to that point in the video and think that I'm recommending, because they're a good product, but the problem is when a company behind a good product mistreats me as a viewer, I don't know how they're going to, treat you as a normal consumer, as somebody who can't necessarily or might not necessarily be able to say to other reviewers, hey, have you had this experience? Or hey, don't work with them. Or hey, get a comment back to them to know how, there's a different pull there. Not that I have more pull than a normal consumer, but there's a different expectation. So the expectation versus reality is there. Now, the other point with this is a while back, over a year ago, probably been a year and a half, maybe, I bought the Samsung Galaxy Book Pro 360, and I had expectations that that company set about in their marketing. And so expectation versus reality comes into marketing. And what do we think is the expectation is what they have pitched to us, what they have told us, what they have said, here's the benchmarks, using it to do this. It's as easy to set up as your phone. And if I go to use it and the reality doesn't match the expectation, as a reviewer, as somebody who enjoys using tech and just telling you the story about my use of it, if I have an expectation based on my use, based on what they've told me, it should match. And if it doesn't, as a reviewer, it is my due diligence to inform you that it doesn't. And I gotta let hate for that. A lot of people coming out of the water and coming out and saying, hey, they should sue you, you're lying. Flossie Carter had this experience, or, somebody else that reviewed it used, and it's like, yeah, they used 1080p 30 footage from a different camera using different software. So my expectations were using the software that they demoed, because it's the same type of software that I use, were that it would match. And the consumer's expectation would be the same thing, because a lot of consumers aren't going to go around and be like, well, what software works well for it? It shouldn't matter. If you say this is a product for people who are creators, who are reviewing footage, who are editing videos, editing photos, who are doing intense work, who are drawing, that expectation is set. I'm expecting to be able to use it in the lighting that you show in, bright lights inside or outside. These are expectations, and as consumers, we are given expectations by the company that we need to see met. And it goes beyond this. It goes beyond that idea. For instance, there's a little bit of a trouble when a company comes in and says, this is what's going to happen, and then you get the product in hand and the software's not ready. There's a bunch of bugs. People are having issues. Samsung comes out and they release these tablets and they say, well, this software will be coming soon. If LumaFusion were to have issues and say, we're not going to release a final version, Samsung set an expectation that this software will be available. There's like a guarantee. You buy this product, you'll be able to get your hands on the software, you'll be able to do this with it. Now, there's a program, clip art software, that you can use between your tablet and your phone, and you can use your phone as like a canvas, and you can select your colors, and you can work on the tablet, and there's all this stuff. This is known. This exists. This is already in place. So what's coming up? Well, we have WWDC, the Worldwide Developers Conference, coming up June 6th, next Monday. And this is an event that Apple has where they basically say, here's what to expect. Here's the software that's coming up. Here's new features. Here's what we've added. There's some refresher stuff on what already exists. But they also pitch kind of the idea of, here's what's coming into play for accessibility, for ease of use, SharePlay. Apple sets these expectations, and then reality should match it. So when they showed off Universal Control, they showed certain things, and those features are finally in play. Being able to drag stuff in between. They showed it, and they showed it a particular way, and it works. Share play. They show it, and both sides have to have the application, have to have subscriptions to and paid for it. That expectation is set in play. Now, that's two different experiences from somebody who, my expectation is that if you pitch me an ecosystem, that it should work well together, and it should be based on, if you're trying to say we have a great ecosystem, that I should have a similar experience. So, if a company comes out and they say, well, here's a tablet and it works well with a phone and you can have messages and photos and all your stuff shared between them, and, they kind of know that Apple does things a certain way, they've set an expectation to match that or supersede that. And as a user of product, as a consumer first, my expectation is that that meets reality. So when I get my hands on a product, I expect that, or close to it. I know that I use a product maybe differently than the circumstances in which they state. But I know that if I'm looking at it and I read the fine print and I see the situation in which they use the product, that the reality will match that. Then also comes into play when other people tell me what to expect. I expect, if they say, hey, based on my use, based on the circumstances that I've shown to you, this is the reality. One of the reasons I really, really, really enjoy and I trust certain people, like my man Barry Johnson here, when I go to him and I see what he's doing and I see he's putting work out there and he's putting proof out there and he's showing, okay, this is what to expect. That if I see those photos and I know the type of images that I take, if I were to say, sure, I'm going to buy a Vivo X80 Pro because I've seen his video, I've seen his expectation and his reality based on his use, and mine coincides with that enough. My expectation is that my reality will be similar to that because I know that's what he's put out, and that's the trust. And so when people come to me and they watch my stuff, it's the same thing. And when everybody looks at this, they need to know right in here, perfect timing, not everyone is going to have the same experiences. So when a company comes out and they market something, if you don't have that experience, you need to look at, okay, how are they pitching this? Is this even marketed to you or pitched to you? If you buy an iPhone, knowing from the beginning that that you multitask a lot, if I am the consumer and I buy an iPhone and I know, well, I need a big screen and I multitask a lot and I want a stylus, then why am I buying it to begin with? I already know that the reality is not going to meet my expectation. My expectation is my use. And the reality of that product is not going to meet it. So you're starting off disappointed, and then you're going to have people, and then people rightfully should come into your comments and kind of poke at you for it. This is why I get annoyed when people say, well, I own this product, but they don't really use it. Like, cool, I own a hammer, but I'm not in construction, so I can't really be super critical over foundation structure of my building, versus people that use these tools, that understand it, that use it every day, that know construction, that know painting, that knows, whatever, that are experts in this field. They're going to have this in mind. Same comes to when you use a product. This is why it really becomes difficult when you have people that are covering too many products in a way. And it becomes hard to know, like, okay, if I find a video and, I don't know, somebody's reviewing a product and they're just slamming it, I need to realize the reality of their video is that they spent probably limited time with it. And there's no excuse over that. But when you look for people that actually live with the product, people that are buying the product, there is some sort of difference. Yeah, I review products that I don't buy, but it's something I would have bought, or a company that I didn't even know existed and they offered to send it to me and I would have bought it. And I won't agree to review something if I wouldn't have bought it to begin with, and I can't afford everything. But at the same time, the reality is I'm going to spend time with it. I'm going to use it just like I'm going to use any other product. And if it's not suiting my needs, I'm going to let you know. And if it is, I'm going to let you know just as well. I've gotten stuff sent to me that I still use. I've gotten, I have cases that have been sent to me that I wouldn't know if I was going to have the expectation of really liking that product. I have IEMs that I didn't know how well I would like them and how well they would suit my need. But a company said, hey, we'll work with you. We don't care channel size. We want your input. We like your style. This is their expectation from me and their reality of knowing that this is what they're going to get from me. And so when I see people just like crapping on products, but they don't even really use it, or they're trying to use it not for what was pitched. Like, you buy a Mac and then you're mad because, well, it's not working well with my non-optimized software. Well, yes. So your expectation and your reality was the truth, but your expectation was beyond what it should have been. And so I'm not excusing it, but I'm just saying, like, I think we need to all sit back and look at, is our expectation beyond what that product is even meant to do? Some companies pitched everybody and they have a baseline to meet, and High Heroic Vision, and they have the standard and they have the understanding, and so they continue to pitch that. People continue to buy because they appreciate that the product maybe doesn't change a ton every year and they don't have to relearn software, and they like to keep their product for 3-4 years and they don't have to come and be like, well, it's basically a completely different product based on software and all that. There's that expectation. Then you have other people that buy certain devices because they like to tinker and they buy product every year and they like the changes because they need something new. But for some people that freaks them out. So the expectation in reality is that for one set of people, you have somebody that, like, let's say they're buying an iPhone because they know that, you know what, this right here in an iPhone XR, when I was on an iPhone XR, I was able to upgrade to, let's say iOS 15, 16, and then let's say the iPhone 15 comes out next year. And so they shift because they know their expectation is that in reality, there won't be a ton that's changed, but things may function faster. Cameras may take better images. They don't necessarily need that, but their device is getting old, the battery's aged. Yeah, they could get certain things replaced, but they need something new. They, maybe they are an area that 5G is an advantage. They have their expectation, they have their reality. Then you have somebody that needs something like this because in their reality is they sign documents every day. They take really long screenshots of things and then they edit them, they sign them, they work on them. So if it's in Safari, you can do that on an iPhone. You can do a screenshot, take the whole thing, get it all the way down. You can use your finger to sign on it or a third-party stylus. But they need something like this, and they want the option to be able to connect it up to a monitor and use it with something like DeX. Or they're a student, and the reality is you can take great photos of almost everything with this. You can take pictures of documents. You can take photos of different things in and around. You can edit them, and you can sit down and have a keyboard and mouse and edit them. You can easily send them over to connect up with OneDrive or whatever your source is over to your tablet and continue to do that. And you have that experience. And those are your expectations and your reality. But don't let anybody else tell you what your reality is or that your expectations don't meet that unless you have told them. And the thing is, like, my expectation is that you will look at the story that I tell you and the use of how I live, because I don't only talk tech, but I live it, how I live with the products that I use, and understand that there's two different things between how I use a product and what I do with it versus what you do. And so your expectation is something you need to look at and do the research and look and find somebody maybe that's in the same field, somebody that does similar things, somebody that has similar knowledge, somebody who shares your experience, because then their expectation and your expectation should coincide so that your reality will be close to their reality. Now you have things like, two people that work in construction, but one person works away from home a lot and is, away from a charger a ton versus somebody else who isn't. And so those things are two different realities, even though they seem similar. That's kind of what got me thinking about this, is just seeing people like feeling like two products should meet the same standard when they're from two different companies for two different purposes, for completely different types of users, for two different expectations. So, of course, the reality is going to be two different things. You know, Heroic Vision is a great example of how he utilizes devices, and I know he's talked about, and I've interacted with him about um, creating these works of art using a phone. And the thing is, in somebody's hands like that, I guarantee that his outcome from these two different products right here could be very similar. The reality that comes out of those could meet his expectations no matter which product, as long as he's able to maybe use the lenses that he wants, as long as he's able to tell the story. His knowledge behind it, though, is what allows that to match up. I will be right back. I'm sorry. We are back. I appreciate your patience. Tech for Your Needs says, I cross-reference a bunch of creators before I make a final decision. Like I said, before everyone has a different experience. Um, yeah. Let's see. Sharkfin says to Heroic, your channel sounds interesting, Heroic. There's a European-based channel named Tech Unravel. He creates artwork out of old smartphones, so perhaps similar to what you do. No, he literally uses phones to record with and create wonderful imagery, video, that type of thing. So, but Tech Unravel is great. He does awesome, literally framing old tech and repurposing it as artwork, which is awesome. Like, I think it would be really cool if somebody like Heroic Vision were creating using a device, and let's say they had like an iPhone and they had shot like 100 pieces of work with it, whether it's videos or photos or whatever, and it died, or they, had it long enough that they couldn't use it anymore, that they were to have somebody like Tech Unravel take it apart and make it into something, and then use that and like list all of your pieces that you created with it, and have that as like, I will sell it to somebody for a significant, or just as like a memory of it. It would be awesome. So, the reality though of things is like, we set our own expectations. We set our own based on what we hear, what we think, what other people tell us. And so it's important to me that I try to be as accurate as possible and as good of a storyteller, the way I enunciate, I process things. Sometimes you hear me kind of stop and think about it because I want that. My expectation of is that you're able to perceive how I'm using a product in your mind and visualize it as accurate as possible, so that your experience, if you're looking for a product to suit your needs, that you know your needs, that you know the purpose of it, that you know the product that's going to come from it. And that's important to me. Like, extremely important to me. It's ingrained in me. I'm always the type of person that, like, I want to be understood as most accurately as possible in order to help other people, in order to make sure that other people's goals in life, expectations, utility of product is met as accurately, clearly, whatever is possible. And so when I talk to people and I'm having conversations, and when you guys are having conversations, and when you're using products, and when you're watching our videos, don't just watch mine, but like watch other videos. If you come across my video because you've searched a particular topic, and let's say the topic of my video just like, I don't know, something about the iPhone 13, and you want to find more with that topic, take and copy the title of the video and paste it into YouTube and do another search, or paste it into Google and do a search, wherever. Just, if you're come across somebody's video and you're like, you know what, I found that their video came up and it's titled, using an iPhone 13 to for photography, put that in there. The amazing thing to me in all of this is this leads to another discussion. And so I hope, that you guys all found that part fulfilling. But let's take this on to something, because I see this leading the conversation, and Why not use smartphones to film or repurpose them as artwork when they reach end of life cycle? We need more of that type of creativity. You know, the idea of instead of this stuff being put into the ground, or instead of looking at it and being like, well, um, it seems kind of slow, or apps, I can't really install apps anymore because it's too old. The OS that's on it's too old. Really, now we're getting to the point where phones 2, 3, 4 years ago, for the most part, had good enough video and photo quality. A lot of phones that are out there that you can repurpose them and use them. Do you want to have something dedicated as a camera so that, you know what, I'm going to load all my social media, I'm going to load all my messaging, all my other apps in which people send me photos and stuff that's going to take up space on the device I'm currently using, but I have an old, LG G8 and maybe it doesn't work with my carrier anymore, or it's locked, or somebody's selling a locked device. Maybe the idea of buying that and just using it as your camera, everything's stored on it. Older devices, had micro SD cards. Newer devices don't have that external storage. And just use them for that purpose. Or you're really into music. Buying an older device for like $100 that has a really good DAC in it, digital audio interface in it. Or, being able to utilize that, being able to have your expectation met is really important. And if a new product doesn't do that and an old one does, there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm going to buy one used, or I'm going to buy one renewed on Amazon, or I'm going to find one and utilize it for that specific need. I know some people that do that. There are probably people that are in this very chat, in this very video, watching it now or watching the replay, that have a phone that they hold on to because it suits their needs and they don't want something newer, or a phone that has a headphone jack and they really like using wired earbuds or headphones or IEMs for listening to their audio. They want that high quality, or they connect an inline DAC up to that or an amp up to that. They don't want to have to worry about, well, I can't charge it and use it at the same time. Or they use it with their car stereo. There are probably people guaranteed out there that have gotten a new device but held on to their old device because, you know what, it wouldn't resell for what it was worth to them to do. Or they had all their music stored on it. Or, that's something we can get into here a little bit. These companies pitch the reality of, like, you're going to use a service and it's going to suit your needs and there's all this cool stuff with it. Yeah, it's really cool. Like, you subscribe to Apple Music, or you subscribe to Spotify or Pandora Premium, or one of these, music streaming services. Your expectation is to have access to all this music, but sometimes it gets removed. Sometimes the artist removes it. Sometimes the company's no longer working with them. So in reality, you got to find something else. And so when you think about it, with all this that's out there, is people are paying more today for subscription services than they were paying when they were buying CDs, or when they were paying for cable subscriptions. They're paying more today because, you know what, I have to have faster and better internet, so I'm paying more for that to be able to stream all these services. And that's the reality. Some of the stuff that I think about is like, as technology is developed and as we start to utilize new stuff, is our costs are more expensive. Of course, there's more technology out there. Part of that is because some of these companies have created more technology to work together. You have smartwatches, you have wireless earbuds, you have all this stuff that uses batteries. So instead of having a set of headphones or earbuds that you've had for 25, 30 years because they're wired, and maybe the wire went out and you just repaired it and fixed it and keep using them, battery dies and they're not super easy to repair or replace. You got to charge the thing multiple times a day to utilize some of the functionality. And you got to have cords and cables and multiple outlets and all these like multi-plug things. That's the reality of it. And so, when it comes down to it, is I'm surrounded in tech, but sometimes it's just aggravating. Sometimes it's exhausting. And so, one of the things to think about is like, if you have multiple products that you use for the same need, the idea of kind of winding down that is awesome. Hi, Miss E. Fashionably late. It's okay. I know that different time zones and different times, and when I get started, and um, you know, people trickle in and out, and I just enjoy talking and helping people and thinking about things, and so that's one of the things I've been thinking about. And what's really funny with that is like I have my iPad mini and I just got another tablet because two different needs, two different purposes. Now could use my phone to do what I do with a lot of them, but like I want a bigger display, and so my iPad mini became like I want to be able to multitask, split screen. I can connect up a wireless keyboard and mouse to do some of that stuff. I can connect it up to a monitor easily with USB connection, USB-C connection, and do some of these things. Apple Pencil support. Hold on. And processing wise, it's pretty much in line with this device. Got the same processor and stuff. But I just picked up another tablet. Funny enough, from the same line of tablet as I've had before. I picked up a Samsung Galaxy S8. I had the S8 Ultra. I've actually had the Tab S6 before. Thought it was too small. Didn't really like the aspect ratio. Part of that was like software stuff. I know that software's gotten better. I then had the Tab S7 Plus briefly, but that didn't really. I don't know. I didn't really. I felt like it was like I don't know. So then the S8 Ultra came out, and I had that for a bit. Then it was one of those, well, the keyboard case I didn't really feel like was great enough quality. The cost I had into it, I was using it basically like a laptop, and the software didn't. So then it came back to, well, which do I feel like is a good tablet for tablet's sake, but then can do some expanded stuff. So I ended up at the Tab S8, and so my video will be coming on that. I'll be explaining through some of these things, but I'll also be, talking about how my expectations got me to that point and then the reality of it to today. And so it's one of those things like I went from an 11-inch iPad Pro, and now I'm back to an 11-inch tablet, but there's a difference in use and the difference in iPad and things like that of like, and the difference in software. And so I want to set that expectation for people when I cover this, and I'm striving and struggling and working on that. And so that's my reality versus expectation with that. And it's pretty cool because of different use, different ecosystem stuff. I've been using Windows. I'm on my Windows desktop right now to live stream more and more, and so utilizing that with the Android side of stuff. And so the cool existence in technology to me is that there are multiple companies out there and they do things differently, but they also do some things so alike that it makes it great to be able to use these products together, but also at the same time sometimes frustrating because you have to buy products from different companies in order to do that. And the whole even discovering that why I use an iPhone is in line with what some people say, but at the same time, it's like, well, it's because no other company does certain things as well for me as that. But at the same time, on the Android and Windows side, it's, well, Apple's missing on certain things, certain features, certain utilities of doing that. And so to me, I need both, and there's reasons for it. And I think more now than ever that I could use all Apple stuff, but there are just certain things I would be missing out on, and would probably cost me more to do that than to just own more products from multiple companies in the end. And so this will be something I really am kind of working on writing, and I don't like to script anything, but I want to come up with videos and talk about, like, okay, where did my expectations change, and how did I cope with that? How did I work through that journey? Also, like, what companies and what stores maybe to go to have the best experience of changing through things. And my experience with that, obviously, experience may vary depending on where you go and the employees at these particular places and how well they handle things. But like, Amazon is great to utilize because they have multi-month deals on things now, and you can buy some of the tablets over like 12 months. And so, how to be able to look forward these things, to be able to talk about them, to be able to use them, to be able to review them for you all, is something that I feel like transparency and clarity. And obviously, I have to be careful about being too open about it because of, security and stuff. But I feel like the advantage that I get is I can share these experiences with you all at things that much bigger channels can't necessarily do. And I just really hope that it gets appreciated. And as much as I appreciate you all being here and have enjoyed this conversation and enjoyed doing this and enjoyed talking to you all and seeing people come in here, the last couple weeks or so that are new, and it's awesome to see and interact with people and see people that I've seen over in other streams coming in here. And I hope that in the end, that when you click and watch my stream and watch my video and that you're here, that your expectation of me truly became the reality as you've listened and watched. I think that because, time is important and I appreciate all your guys' time, what I would like to say is thank you to Lewis, Tech for Your Needs, Mark, Sharkfin Tech, Barry Johnson, Heroic Vision, Miss E, anybody who's lurking in the background for coming through and watching and listening. I also appreciate everybody who comes through and watches the replay. If you do come in at any point, or you're coming in now and you want to catch the beginning, I leave them all up. They're all on my channel. If you want to be notified of future videos and live streams, don't forget to subscribe. Also, give a big thumbs up. Comment down below maybe your expectation versus reality, and a time where maybe that wasn't met or it was superseded. Let's enjoy this conversation, share it together, continue down below. I will also say, don't forget to head on over to Easy Computer Solutions stream in just about 15 minutes. I will see you all in the chat there. It's always a good time, a good laugh. If you drink, grab a drink. Whatever you partake in, alcohol, soda, whatever. Let's have a good rest of our evening. I will see you all, same place, same time next week. Of course, have a good evening. Peace out, and love to all.